Hey, what's up, gangsters, and welcome back to a Todd E. Walnuts video. Today we're going to go through my Vampirella collection. I'm going to add a couple of miscellaneous books at the end. I have my graded stuff in this little portable tote bin thing. And we'll go through and I'll show you all the graded Vampirella books I have. I do have a couple of raw copies, and I have some other little stuff I'll show you guys at the end. But the gang is all here. It's a Saturday evening. It's about just about 8 o'clock p.m. on Saturday night. And we're in chill mode. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. Let's take a look and see what books we have. So the first one I have, this is the earliest issue I have, number 6, from July of 1970. And this is a Ken Kelly cover, and he also signed it here. So this was graded as a 5.5, signed by Ken Kelly on January 7th of 17. And there you can see it was a Ken Kelly cover. And the story about this book, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but when Ken Kelly drew the face, it didn't look quite right. So he had Frank Frazetta kind of touch it up. So that's the old lore about this comic book. So I believe that is a Frank Frazetta face on the female, but the rest of the cover was done by Ken Kelly. Here's what the back looks like. So that is number 6 from July of 1970. The next one is from January 1972. It's number 15. It has a 9.2 grade. And this is a beautiful cover. This cover was, let's see here, who did it? Richard Corbin. San Julian cover. It has a Richard Corbin frontispiece. 1971 Warren Creator Awards Count Dracula cameo. This one's in really good condition, considering it's over 50 years old. I don't know if I should tell you the prices I paid for these. That seems kind of tacky. But I can tell you, though, that in 9.2, there are 16 graded on the census, and there are 27 graded higher than this. And that's when I checked back in 23, so it could even be more than that now, but beautiful cover. Okay, the next one I have is number 18 from August of 1972. And this one has a cover from it looks like Jose Gonzalez, Esteban Maroto, and Felix Mas art. Here's an Enrich cover. Or is that Enrich? But this is a beautiful cover here with another cameo by Dracula. This one was graded a 9.2 with white pages. And on the back, looks like it's an ad for the armed forces. And for some stats here on the book, I have in 9.2, there's 10 of these graded as 9.2, and there's 32 that are higher than that. So that's what Paulie Walnuts would look like if he was a vampire. Beautiful cover. Another Dracula cover I have here. This one is number 22 from March of 1973. This was graded a 9.0, and this is cover number 22. I mentioned that already. It kind of has a British, kind of a Hammer feel to it, to me anyway. I love that cover. And it looks like Enrich did the cover again. What else do we have? It says it's the first color section in a Warren magazine. Dracula, a new illustrated book of horror and fantasy. So this one, in 9.0, there are 10 listed on the census. There are 33 in higher grades, and that's when I checked in 23. So again, it could have changed a year ago. This is a great cover too. They're all great covers, but here's kind of a creature feature type monster on the cover. Looks like a killer toad. This one was number 29 from 1973. Another Enrich cover, 9.0 white pages. I love the color, the teal and the yellow and the red. It really pops. It looks good. Next issue on sale, Terror Tomb. That looks great. So in 9.0, there was only one listed, which is this one, higher grades, 19. So now we jump from 29 to 39. This is number 39. This is a 5.0, which is a mid-grade, but it was signed by Ken Kelly. This is number 39 from January 1975. And you can see Ken Kelly signed it right there in a silver Sharpie. There's a little bit of condition issues here on this book, but for me, the value is in the signature from the artist, who is no longer with us. He passed away a few years ago. But you can see right there, it says Ken Kelly cover. He signed it on January 7th, 17. It still looks really good. There's a couple issues, obviously. For a 5, you're gonna get that, but there's some color breaking marks there. There's a crease over here. Another crease here at the bottom, kind of a finger bend, I guess. And in a 5.0, there was 1. In higher grade, there was 0. This was called a top pop. And I just picked this up this month. And I think they're calling it 1 because it was a signed edition for this. I'm quite sure that there are better copies of this that have been graded, but none that have been signed and verified. That's the way I take it. But I'm pretty sure that there's a lot of these that are graded. Probably better than 5. Here is number 40. This one is also signed by Ken Kelly. This one's signed on the back. I'll show you in a minute. This one got a 5.5. So again, it's another mid-grade copy. It was published in March of 1975. There's a Bernie Wrightson biography and photo inside, 8 pages of color. And it looks really good. So for a 5.5, you're going to get some damage, but luckily the front for the most part is pretty clean. You do have some corner stuff, some of the edge stuff, a couple of bends up here, but the majority, most of the picture on the front is pretty much untouched. So I guess that's what counts. And here on the back, you can see where Ken Kelly signed it there. Again in silver Sharpie. And this one, again, was a top pop. There was one graded in 5.5. In higher grade, there was 0. They're calling it a top pop. If you want to check out any of these statistics, you can go to the website, just type in CGC.com, and it'll pull it up. And you can look for the little search bar. And when you do get to that, you put in this number right here, this register number, the code number, and it will pull up and tell you the grade, and it'll tell you why it got what it got. It'll say like finger bends or creases that break the color. If there was a page missing or if the cover was loose, it'll tell you all that stuff. It's pretty interesting. I have never personally gotten any books graded. I always purchased these from a seller who already had them graded. I'm not opposed to grading comics or magazines. Maybe someday I'll send some in, but I'm just not really sure how the whole process works, because I know you want to get them cleaned and pressed before you send them out to get graded. And it just sounds like a whole rigmarole, and I don't know if I want to deal with that extra kind of stress. Sending these books through the mail, possibly getting lost or damaged, I don't know. I mean, people do it, and they rarely have problems, but I'll probably be the one that gets a box lost or damaged. So that was number 40 from March of 1975. The next one is 41 from April of 75. This one got a 9.2 white pages. Another Enrich cover. Vampirella hiding behind a tombstone in a graveyard. That's really cool. And this one in a 9.2 grade, there are 9 on the census and there are 12 higher. But keep in mind, I did that research in August of 23, so that's a year ago. It could very well have changed by then. By now, I mean, there may be more of these on the census now. So I stopped the video for a minute just so I can do a little research. The covers that are done by Enrich, his real name was Enrique Torres, I believe. I kind of forgot already. I just looked it up, but he went by Enrich, not Enrich. So it is Enrich. I want to make sure I give you guys the right info, and I'm sure some of you guys out there already knew that. But this got a 9.2 white pages. It came out in May of 1975. It said it got the 1974 Warren Creator Award. There you can see her getting chased through a wasteland, through the jungle. Looks like it's some kind of a feeding lair for a monster. You can see the bones kind of scattered about. Deadly killers in the dark Amazon jungle. Looking for human flesh, it said there. So this one, in the 9.2 grade, there are 11, and in higher grades, there were 21. So this one I purchased in June of 24. So the next one here is number 43 from June of 1975. And this one got a 9.2 off-white to white pages. Now these dark covers are very hard to get high grades just because the defects will show up quite a bit more on the black background. So this one is in really good shape for how old it is. Kind of has that Aztec jungle kind of vibe to it there. And this one came out in June of '75, has a rebus cover. I haven't been saying the price, but this was originally $1 for this issue. And in the back you have very colorful images there. This is actually a very nice book. I like the way it looks. So this was a 9.2. There were 3 on the census, 12 with a higher grade. I purchased this one in June of '24. Next we have number 47 from December of '75. This is another Enric cover. You can see that giant hand coming through the darkness to try to grab our girl. This was a 7.5 with white pages. If I didn't mention that already, I don't remember. Look at this, it was a Hammer Films Festival, November 7th, 8th, and 9th in New York City. You can see that there's a crease that goes all the way back, all the way across that back corner there. Otherwise, this book is in really good condition, but that's pretty, they hit that one pretty hard, it looks like, because there's not really a whole lot more noticeable damage. I mean, there's little, like some of the corners are a little bit, I wouldn't say soft, but there's a couple nicks there in the corner. But I'm thinking that they took off a huge penalty for that color breaking crease right there. So in a 7.5, there was 1 on the census. They had 23 in a higher grade, and I did that research in August of '23. I believe this is the highest grade I have. This is another Enric cover. It has killer rats on the cover. And this one got a 9.4 with white pages. It is number 48, came out in January of 1976. And like I said, it's an Enric cover. This back is beautiful too. I love that. That kind of powder blue with that bright red on top of it. That looks really great. And let's see, what do we have here? In 9.4, there were 5. In higher grades, there were 10. And I did that research in May of '24. The next one here is probably one of my favorite covers of the Vampirella books that I have now. I think this is probably number 2. I'll show you number 1 here in a minute. This one introduced Pantha Returns. I think there may have been a different Pantha that was number 1, and this was probably a subsequent visit. So it says Pantha Returns. Vampy stalks Pantha on the planet Draculon. And this one got a 9.2, number 66, by the way, from January of 1978, has off-white to white pages. It says, Pantha becomes regular member of Vampirella cast. Another Enric cover. So for 9.2, there were 6 on the census. In higher grade, there were 11. And that research was done in September of 23. I love that cover. This next one is another signed copy. This is the newest edition in my collection. This is kind of a higher number. We're at number 70 now, and this was from, looks like July of 1978. And the price for this one was $1.25. Like I said, it got an 8.5 for the grade. This is another one that's signed by Ken Kelly. The Swamp Woman. Little advertisement here for Close Encounters of the Third Kind special issue magazine. And in 8.5 there's 1, in higher grade there's 0. And that research was done this month, probably a week ago now, I think. The next one is number 79 from July of 1979. Has a $1.75 price tag. This one got a 9.2 with white pages. Has a Jordi Penalva cover. And this is another beautiful cover, but this is not my favorite. My favorite is the next one up. It's Pendragon and Panther shanghaied on a slow boat to China. I love that dragon. That looks amazing to me. Those Chinese dragons look really cool. And here on the back, they're just, looks like they're advertising Star Wars figures. You have Walrus Man. I had a lot of these as a kid. I had a black vinyl carrying case, and all the little figures were in there, all the little weapons that they came with. Death Star Droid, Luke Skywalker, Hammerhead, Snaggletooth, R5-D4, Greedo. So in a 9.2, there are 7 graded, and higher grades are 32. And that research was done in August of 23. Take one more look here at the beautiful Chinese dragon. Very well done. That's a great cover. So this is my favorite cover, and this is an alternate cover. This is the Canadian variant. That's why it's so low. It's number 81. I believe the original US cover was way earlier in the run. Like, I think it was in the top 15 or top 10 maybe. Don't quote me on that, but it was way higher in the run. I have to get the US cover at some point, but I love this cover. It shows Dracula. This is the first appearance of Dracula in the Vampirella series. And it's got a 9.2. And it came out in, September of 1979. This is the $2.25 Canadian cover price, Canadian price variant. I still want to get the US. This was quite a bit cheaper than the US cover. So in a 9.2 for this variant, there's only 1. In higher grades there were 0, so they call this a top pop. And that research was done in August of 23. You get a little necklace charm with some graveyard dirt. And we're gonna take a look again at this beautiful cover. Does it say at the top that it was, I think on the US edition, it says first appearance of Dracula, but since this one's so low now, it's a higher number, 81. Dracula had already been in the series. So that was my last Vampirella graded comic book, and I do have 2 other magazines that are graded that I throw in this little protective tote just to kind of store them, keep the dust and sunlight and everything off of them. So I have 2 more to show. I may as well show these with that Vampirella. This is Fangoria #1, complete with the poster. This one got a 9.2 white pages. You can see it's Fangoria #1 from O'Quinn Studios, August of '79. It has the Godzilla poster included. A lot of these original #1s, the poster was pulled out. So it's hard to find it in a really high grade with the poster still intact, which this one does have. So we got Godzilla on the cover. Very iconic #1 issue in a pretty fair, pretty high grade. This one has a lot of higher grades though. So this one, in a 9.2, there were 5 total. There are 5, as far as I know. There's still 5. I got this a few years ago though. So this very well and possibly and probably has gone up. There were 41 higher grades. I did pay a little bit of money for this one. That's a little bit expensive, but if you want to get it in a higher grade, like a 9.8, you're going to have to pay several hundreds of dollars for that. I'm just glad to have it in. A 9.2 is a good condition. I mean, it's a nice piece. I'm glad to have that. And the last graded magazine is called Vampiress Carmilla. And this was #1. And this came out in 2021. I got this about a year and a half ago, or a year ago maybe. This is in a 9.6, first issue. Has a $5.95 price tag there, March of 21. Has a Ken Kelly cover. And there, this was not signed, but you can see his signature on the original image. And I lost my little info here, but I think this was about, I think I paid about $80 for this. And I think at the time, this was the only one that was graded. But I'm sure by now, like I said, this was about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago. There may be more on the census by now. But I really like these. I think these are great. I'm gonna start collecting these, not just not right now at this moment. I have other things I need to pick up first. But eventually I'm gonna jump into this rabbit hole and get these. Okay, gang is still here. We're still in chill mode. That was the end of my graded comics, but I do have a handful of raw copies, and I have some other stuff I'm gonna show just to kind of fill out the video here. But here is Vampirella #15. You saw this one earlier as a graded copy. This is kind of a lower grade reader copy. And we'll just keep moving here. These are all reader copies. These are in pretty mid to lower grades, I would say. Just so I can flip through and read these. But here is #21. Actually, here, I'm just going to pull it out. It's be a little bit easier to see it this way. You can see that there's quite a bit of damage on these. There's a chunk missing here. But these were all very affordable, and I purchased these so I can flip through and actually read these. So that's 21. I'm going to pull the other one out too, so you can just kind of see this one again. This was #15. Next one is #44. This one's in pretty solid condition. I think this one's a little bit higher, maybe in the 8 to 8.5 range. I'm not an expert on grading. I'm not even trying to be, but just from what I've been seeing, and now that I've kind of dove into this pond here, I guess, a rabbit hole, whatever you want to call it, I'm learning stuff each day, and I'm kind of getting the hang of this, so I'm not trying to sound like an expert at all. Next one is number 58 from March of 1977. This one's also in very good condition. They're calling it a super special giant holiday issue. It had a $1.50 price tag on it. The next one is number 59 from, let's see, April of 1977. The beautiful succubus had stolen Pendragon's heart. Would she next steal his life? The next one is number 60. And this one was from May 1977. This one has the blind priestess. This one's in pretty good condition. I would say that this is at least a 7.5-ish. Maybe higher. Here's number 61. $1.25 price tag. This is from July of 1977. Looks like they have Vampirella a little bit thicker in this rendition of how she looks. She's got a little more meat on her bones. This one is also in good condition. The next one is number 62. This one is from August of 1977. Outer space creature, monstrous alien. I love this cover. I like the way that blue and yellow looks together. This is number 68 from April 1978. This one's in pretty good condition. This one is number 93 from January 1981. Has a $1.75 price tag on it. The Cobra Goddess. Man, these books are awesome. This one is number 105 from May 1982. Has a $2 price tag. And this one says blobs and behemoths terrorize Vampirella and Panther. And this is the last Vampirella. This one is number 113. This one has a $3.95 price tag. It's from 1988. I believe this was the last one in the run. I can be wrong about that. If anybody knows, you can leave a comment. So that was it for my Vampirella. I'm going to take a look at the running time of this video and see where we're at. If I need a little filler, I'll show you guys some of my Eerie books. I don't have very many of those either, so I'll be right back. So we're over the 30-minute mark, which is not that big of a deal to me. I've gone an hour many times, and I think you guys say you like the longer videos, but I'm going to end it here just to kind of keep all of the Vampirella stuff together, and I'll save these for a separate video. So for my beautiful girls and me, I wish you guys a very safe and happy weekend. Thank you for tuning in. I will catch you in the next video. Thank you for watching.